Top 10 Most Luxurious Palaces and Castles in the World. Palaces and castles are ironic representations of wealth and power of their rulers, as well as grand cultural treasures that often serve as tourist attractions. No castle or palace would be complete without luxurious amenities to match the regal ambience, from gilded walls and ceilings to silk drapes, rugs, and fine art adorning the walls. Here are the 10 most luxurious palaces and castles around the world. Number 10. Topkapi Palace, the Turkish beloved fort. The Turkish castle was home to Ottoman sultans and their elite for about 400 years, but with more than 4 centuries gone by, the fortified structure still deserves to be at the pinnacle of human architecture because it is without doubt an exquisite and immense structure. The Turkish castle is also perfect for gazing out over Istanbul's gleaming cityscape. This prestigious palace is now a museum. It was awarded the World Heritage Site designation by UNESCO in 1985. Number 9. Stirling Castle. In Scotland, Stirling Castle dominates the skyline above the small town of Stirling. In the past, the fortress was placed at the top of Castle Hill so that its residents could see enemies coming. The castle was the home of a Scottish king or queen in the 15th and 16th century, but now it is only a tourist attraction. The first structures were constructed from Stirling Castle in 1490 and were primarily used by royalty. Under Kings James IV, James V, and James VI, it was served as the principal royal center. These newer buildings are the result of an eclectic mix of English, French, and German architecture, influenced by these past kings who had good taste because more than 500 years later, the structure still remains a strong reputation for its well-known and admired architecture. Number 8. Eltz Castle. Built in 1137, the castle rises dramatically from the German forest as a Romanesque landmark that served as the imperial seat of the Holy Roman Empire and was home to the royal family which defied the local archbishop's rule. A long siege lasting 2 years commenced. Even though it has survived countless battles, it's still standing with the same majestic beauty and air of defiance as the first day it was built. Today, like most castles, it's now a museum. People often stood by the treasury, where they can see gold and silver porcelain, artifacts, and suits of armors and weapons, just to give an idea of how well off the elders of the family here. The family owned many different types of property over the centuries, but the most of his wealth disappeared in 1800s. In fact, some members of Elt's family immigrated to the United States in 1700s, and a few even participated in the Revolutionary War. Number 7. Windsor Castle. Once upon a time in the 11th century, King William the Conqueror hoarded wealth and invested in Windsor Castle. The English palace is still the oldest and largest occupied castle in the world. Unlike other castles on the list, Windsor Castle is still used as a royal residence. Queen Elizabeth II enjoys visiting on the weekends. The British royal family has impressed foreign dignitaries with their majesty, beauty, and stability over the years by hosting their head of state visitors. For example, this oak-heavy forest is one of the oldest broadleaf woodlands. Originally, they were a space to hunt animals, but now they are mainly used for recreational activities, farming, and relaxation. In a 2017 report, Windsor Castle is worth around $236 million. Of course, it isn't the most expensive property the royal family owns. Buckingham Palace alone is valued at over $5 billion. Number 6. Chateau Chambord. While some debate it, Chateau Chambord is arguably the most elegant property in all of France. Construction began way back in 1519 and was completed several decades later in 1547. Built as a hunting lodge, it was then converted into a beautiful palace, which led to the Revolution, where angry French citizens overthrew the royals. Much of the furnishings and decor of the chateau had been sold or stolen. There are many luxury features to discuss Chambord, but it's difficult to choose the most luxurious of them all. Regardless, it's not uncommon for visitors to remark about the stone staircases from the ground floor to the second floor that double as memorial tombstones. These days, Chateau Chambord is a popular tourist attraction that hosts more than 700,000 visitors each year. Number 5. Himeji Castle. Though originally designed like a fortress, many people feel like Himeji Castle is the finest example of classical Japanese castle architecture. Himeji Castle was designed by Japan as a national treasure. It is one of the only 5 buildings in the country to be given the same distinction. The castle complex is truly large with a total of 533 hectares. It's mostly covered in French trees and Japanese cypress. In a 2015 report, over 2 million people visited the palace per year. So it's an essential stop on your Japan itinerary. Number 4. Edinburgh Castle. As seen by modern-day Edinburgh, Scotland, this historic fortress continues to maintain a watchful eye. Wars have been fought here, including Scottish independence in the 1400s and the Jacobite Rising in 1745. Among other records, the castle was besieged 26 times, the most of any other in the UK, and one of the most besieged in the world. Over 70% of visitors come to the castle during their time in Edinburgh. Number 3. Versailles Palace. Versailles was nothing more than a small hunting lodge up until 1661. At that point, it became the seat of French imperial power and is still one of the history's most opulent palaces. The renowned Hall of Mirrors is intricately decorated with dazzling silvers and gold. According to PBS, the property is estimated to be worth over $300 billion when adjusted for inflation. Tourists enjoy wandering around the beautiful estate, marveling at the many fountains, canals, and flower beds, and enjoying the 4 million annual visitors. More people visit every year than even go to the Eiffel Tower. Number 2. Marlborough Castle. Marlborough Castle was constructed by German Teutonic Knights in the 13th century. In 1457, it was sold by Bohemian mercenaries to King Casimir IV of Poland to pay for the price of the 13 Years' War. It used to be the royal palace for the Polish nobility until 1772, when the Germans recaptured the territory that was Polish. The palace is now a national landmark and will be preserved for many years to come. Located on the northwest bank of the River Nogat, many royals over ages traveled by boat and enjoyed luxurious river cruises in temperate Polish summer. Poland is also renowned for its amber and its amazing marble castles. Number 1. Neuschwanstein Castle. Another German castle which is located in Bavaria. It might be familiar because Walt Disney modeled Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland after it. Although it did not win the nomination, this iconic castle was nominated as the world's new 7 wonders and is known as one of the most expensive castles in the world. Estimates suggested that it would cost $950 million to construct. As our economies have changed, the well-designed castle is used to stun visitors from across the world. Due to its location and high position, it is visible for many miles in every direction. Construction of the castle began in 1886. Builders used 465 tons of Salzburg marble, 1,550 tons of sandstone, 400,000 bricks, and 2,680 cubic yards of wood for scaffolding. A destination for tourists, it is a marvel and open to visitors, so you can explore its winding passages and large open courtyards. The castle is literally fit for a king. Well, what are your thoughts? Which castle are you most drawn to? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and comment.